a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. It is Friday, May 1st. This is the 1st of May. I did a U cover of that song, by the way. Maybe I'll retweet it because I think it is out there somewhere. Horrible day on the show yesterday. Horrible day for me, personally. I'm surprised I'm not dead right now. I don't even know what to tell you about Houston in the first game. Of course, they won the second game easily, so isn't that right? Lance McCullers, isn't that great? I mean, Lance McCullers actually pitched well. First game, it was looking to be trending in the right direction. We get into the fourth inning. Peter Lambert, I think, hadn't a lot of hit at that point, and Houston had 3 hits in the game, but hadn't scored. So Houston played better in that game than what the score looked, but then the game started unraveling a little bit. They allowed a couple of runs, and then that was it. And you look at that game, they lost the game 10-5, but they out-hit Baltimore 12-6 in the game. When do you ever see a team, or 10-3 was the final, excuse me. When do you ever see a team, I mean, scoring 3 runs on 12 hits is ridiculous enough, but on the other side of things, Baltimore in that game scored 10 runs on 6 hits. You almost never see anything like that. I don't think that the score was really indicative of what happened in that game. Bassett did pitch better than I thought he would, though. So that was one thing that definitely was not in our favor. The Boston Celtics can eat my fucking ass. I don't know what to even tell you. Jayson Tatum, injured again, calf injury. He's just done. He was gone in the third quarter, never came back. At that point, the Celtics obviously had a chance to win the game. They looked okay early in the game. They just needed to get the game trending in the right direction, but no. So now we're going to have to deal with another fucking Game 7. In the Joe Mazzulla era, by the way, the Celtics have only lost 3 games in a row, I don't know, like a handful of times in that many years. I think it's never happened in the playoffs before. And, I mean, the trends were in the right direction. Like, the trends all supported the play yesterday, too. Like, the Joe Mazzulla era, the Celtics off of a playoff loss were 6-1 straight up, winning those games by an average margin of 13 points. It's fucking ridiculous. If they lose another series, they've never lost a series in his tenure when they were up 3-1. Actually, I believe the Celtics in their history have never lost a series when they were up 3-1. It's never happened in the history of the Celtics. They have not blown a 3-1 lead. Joe Mazzulla might have to get fired, dude. Like, yeah, he did some really good stuff this year during the regular season with these guys. There is some huge problem here. The Celtics have no scoring options right now. I don't know what the hell is going on with this team. I'm so fucking pissed. They're a double-digit favorite at home every game in the series except Game 7. Now they're a much lighter favorite than that, and that line clearly looks like it's too short. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do, though? If they lose another series where they were an insurmountable favorite to win the series like they did against the Heat a couple years ago, of course, Jayson Tatum got hurt in that series as well. They were a big favorite in the series against the Knicks last year, but of course, Tatum went down early in that series. If they lose another series where they're a huge favorite like that, get him the fuck out of town. I'm done with this shit. I'm so fucking done with this fucking Celtics team. I don't know what the fuck to even tell you. Apparently, Tatum is playing in Game 7. I don't even know what to say. It's not his Achilles. It was a calf injury. I don't know what to tell you. Dude, I'm done with this shit. And then we did get a win on the Anaheim Ducks pretty easily in the hockey game. So hockey playoffs were 4-1-1. So there you go. Trying to make sure that the 5-7 or whatever the fuck we are in the NBA playoffs is, we can counter that by winning in hockey, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you, man. I'm happy the Oilers are gone. And it's just so stupid what the Oilers are doing. Oh, yeah, we have the best offensive player in hockey. What do we do? Yeah, let's have the worst goaltending in hockey as well and the worst defense in hockey. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that team, whatever. Not a fan of them. I don't like McDavid either. Be gone, Oilers. Get the fuck out of here. Whatever. Chris Kreider, I'll root for that guy a little bit. Whatever. Didn't have it right in my bracket, but whatever. All right. Josh, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, well, hopefully lawyers don't come after me. Tyson, what's up? Yeah, no shit. I fucking hate the Sixers, dude. The other thing that's the most irritating thing about, one of the most irritating things, all they do is fucking flop. You get Oubre with his fucking stupid hair. He might be the dirtiest player in the NBA, and he's one of the worst floppers, too, and he just throws himself to the ground. Oh, that's an offensive foul on the Celtics. You got Embiid is like grabbing Tatum and like arm checking him and shit. Oh, that's a foul on Tatum or on the Celtics. Embiid gets to go to the line. What the fuck are you talking about? I hate these players. They're a bunch of... Dude, Embiid is a fucking asshole. And so is Oubre. Fuck that fucking Sixers team. They're one of the dirtiest teams in the NBA. They're a bunch of fucking scumbags. I fucking hate that team. I don't even... Who's King Flop? LeBron? I hate Oubre worse than LeBron. Dude, LeBron's not even a threat anymore. Whatever. I've always hated LeBron. But he's 41 years old now or whatever, and he's just out of gas. He can't even shoot. So whatever. I don't care about LeBron anymore. I hate the Lakers. The Lakers are not... Dude, the Lakers are not going to get past the Thunder, all right? Even if Luka comes back, I don't think it's going to happen. We got to get into today. This is bad. This intro is taking forever. I'm going to give you 4 plays today, and they're all in baseball. So do with that what you want. We're looking at Wager Talk's odds screen, and I'm going against the percentages in, I think, every one of my plays, so that's great. Pre-game needs to fix their fucking garbage. I am so fucking livid about everything this morning. Dude, it's been 3 days now. Fix your fucking back end. Get these fucking market percentages back in. I know it's a free tool, but just what the fuck? Seriously. All right, baseball. We do have an afternoon Wrigley game on a Friday. What else is new? So there is one afternoon game, if people want to watch it, Arizona at the Cubs. The Cubs played... Actually, were the Cubs playing? No, I think they were off yesterday, right? I don't even know anymore. Yeah, the Cubs had yesterday off, but they're returning home from the Pacific Coast. So that's not great for the Cubs that they're returning home from the Pacific Coast. Now, they do have a rest advantage, though, because Arizona did play yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Arizona was in Milwaukee, though. So Arizona... This is definitely a travel edge for Arizona, though they're only going from Milwaukee to Chicago here. Chicago's having to return home from the Dodgers and the Padres. Cubs do have the rest edge, like I said, but it's not a good travel spot. And you know I always talk about when a team returns home from a road trip, they have to get back to home life. It's not a good situation typically. You typically want to fade that team. But yes, they do have the rest advantage here. Arizona, their bullpen is... not good, in my opinion, and they used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Cubs, obviously, were rested. The bullpens, the Cubs have the better bullpen. I don't care that Arizona is 5th in whip. Their ERA is over 5. You cannot say that they're the 5th best bullpen. They're not a good bullpen. The Cubs bullpen has a 3.77 ERA. Same whip as well. So, yeah, the Cubs have the better bullpen. Hitting-wise, the Cubs also have the better offense. They're 4th, although Arizona's 9th. So Arizona is a decent hitting team, which is basically what I think about them. They can hit, and they're not a very good pitching team. Zach Gallen is pitching for Arizona. 3.14 ERA looks pretty good. 1.36 whip is not that good, though. Putting too many guys on base, so that indicates that his ERA should be higher than it is. He's been really bad on the road so far. I know it's still kind of a small sample, but as we turn over into May and we got a month of data, I'm going to start kind of looking at the splits here. Gallen, 5.14 ERA on the road. That's not very good compared to 1.23 at home, so he's not a guy you really want to back on the road. 17-7 strikeout walk ratio over the course of the season doesn't look very good either, but he hasn't walked anybody in his last 2 outings, but he only went 3 innings in his last outing. I don't know if there was a rain delay. I don't know what happened in this outing because he was pitching fine. He'd only thrown 49 pitches, 3 shutout innings, 1 hit allowed against San Diego. Something happened in that start that caused them to pull him early because there's no way they would have pulled him unless there was a rain issue or something like that. But what it couldn't have been, though, because it's Arizona. They have a roof there. I don't know what happened in that game, man. I have no clue what happened in that game. But Gallen has also allowed more than 1 hit per inning, which is a problem. So, again, his strikeout rate is down, and he's putting too many guys on base. That's 32 hits in 28 2/3 innings. Numbers against the Cubs are actually pretty good, though. 134 at bats, so we have a big sample. 37-16 strikeout walk ratio, though. That's too many walks. But 224 average, allowed 665 OPS. Yeah, I mean, there are just too many conflicting angles in this game. I can't do anything with this game. Colin Ray is pitching for the Cubs. His numbers are okay this year. 4.61 ERA, 1.28 whip. He's been good at home, so the home road splits are definitely in favor of the Cubs as far as the starting pitching goes. 2.79 home ERA. He was really bad in his last outing, but it was at the Dodgers, so that was his worst outing of the year. But we know the Dodgers, they're an elite offense. Maybe you can't really take too much away from that. He's got a 24-9 strikeout walk ratio overall. That start against the Dodgers was the only start where he allowed more than 2 walks. Still has allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, 26 and 27 1/3 innings. You know, I'm not about to say that Ray is like somebody that you can't back or anything like that here. No, not going against the Cubs, going against Arizona. His numbers are not great here. 50 at-bats, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio is fine. 280 batting average, though. 808 OPS. And, you know, I mean, I still think that Dodgers start was more of a fluke, but he might be going a little bit out of form. Ray's just not a guy that I fully trust, like, ever. So, I don't know, man. This game is not anything that I don't want to do anything with it. The money looks like it's backing the Cubs a little bit with 56% of the cash on them, 51% of the tickets on Arizona. According to Wager Talk screen here, with some money backing the under as well here. The total is 7, and you know that means wind is blowing in Wrigley because the wind has a huge effect on these totals in the Wrigley games. The Cubs have moved up to a -143, -140 or so favorite here from -115. So the money does appear to be backing the Cubs here. You know, the argument for it is basically the home road splits, the rest edge that they have. They do have a bullpen edge. I'm not going to back a team returning home from a road trip, though. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I don't have a good read on this game at all, dude. Like, they're just, again, you could argue good things and bad things about the starting pitchers. You could argue good things and bad things about the situation each team is in. Do with that information what you want, but that game is, I don't really even have a good opinion on it. But that's what the market numbers say. According to Wager Talk, which are across all these books here that include DKFD, some of the Vegas sports books are in here. The online books also include the one with the M and the lion, the Roman Emperor one, and then some more Vegas books here. The ESPN one, which no longer exists, that's now the Score. Can I say that? That's what that book is now. The one that starts with the F that sells all the shoddy merchandise is out there as well. All right, Texas at Detroit. This will be a play for me here in the first evening game. I'm used to having my best bets graphic being in a different place. Oh, right. I should bring my ticker back up, even though it's not good anymore. 46, 23, and 4 the last 27 days. Might need to reset it if we start getting hot again. I don't know. Also, let me delete the rest of that. This play is going to be on the Texas Rangers plus 100. You can get them. This is Moneyline. Full game. We're going to include the bullpens. Texas has the better bullpen. Now, I like the spot as well, and I think the starting pitching matchup is good enough that we can play it that way, including, we're taking the bullpen edge with Texas as well here. Detroit's returning home from a road trip. They went to Cincinnati and Atlanta. Not the longest road trip, but that's a big series against Atlanta, and they won yesterday. I know it was in the afternoon, but still, they're returning home from a road trip after playing yesterday. Those are two negatives. I believe Texas did not play yesterday, so Texas has a rest advantage. They already have the better bullpen, and we get Detroit returning home from a road trip. And I talk about that. When a team returns home from a road trip, a lot of times they will not be totally focused. They have to get back to home life, whatever. The one negative situationally for Texas is they did beat the Yankees in their last game. I don't really see them being in a letdown here, though. And they do have a little bit of an extra motivator, which isn't huge. But one thing is they're one game below 500. And a lot of times when a team is one game below 500, a lot of times they will be extra motivated just to try to get back to 500. And they ended a 3-game losing streak by beating the Yankees in that last game. So I think they're not really going to be in a letdown here. They had yesterday off, and they're starting a road trip. And I talk about when teams start road trips, they usually are focused, want to get off on the right foot. Texas has the better bullpen. They're number 2 in bullpen whip. They have the best bullpen ERA, I believe. I'm very distracted right now because there's all this landscaping bullshit going on outside right now. I fucking hate it. It's grinding in my fucking ear, in my brain. Get out of here, man. And then we have the bullpen for Detroit is not good at 25th. They're putting like 1.5 guys on base in innings, so we have a bullpen edge with Texas here. The hitting edge, yes, does go to the Tigers, but I like better pitching over better hitting. Detroit's 6th in offense. Texas is 24th. Do with that information what you want. Starting pitching, I actually do like Gore this year over Flaherty. Gore, his numbers aren't great, but he does seem to be not as bad as he was with Washington. Texas, their pitching coaches do pretty well here, man. Gore, he has a 4.35 ERA, 1.29 whip. I know that's not great, and I know he's been bad on the road, a 5.4 ERA, so he is more comfortable at home in Texas's pitcher-friendly park. I get all that, but we're going to back him anyway here based on the spot. He has a ton of strikeouts, 42 in 31 innings and only 25 hits allowed, so he deals, man. He's got a lot of strikeouts, doesn't allow a lot of hits. The problem is he's a little wild, 15 walks. That's the thing he has to get under control, but he's really not been that bad. He's allowed more than 3 earned runs only once this season, so I think he can at the very least, keep us in this game. And yeah, his numbers are not that good against Detroit, but they're not horrible. In 18 at-bats, it's a small sample. He does have a ton of walks. I worry about that. 1 strikeout, 5 walks, 278 average, 768 OPS. I know usually I want to back a guy that has better starting pitching numbers than that, but we're doing it anyway here because I don't like Jack Flaherty. I think Gore has the much higher upside here. He's the better pitcher. Flaherty's been awful this year. He's got a 5.33 ERA, 1.74 whip. His home road splits don't even matter. His ERA is over 5 both ways, so that kind of counters the fact that Gore hasn't been that good on the road. Flaherty's really been struggling. He's had multiple walks in every outing, at least 3 in all but 1 outing, and that was because he only pitched 2 innings in his last outing. He's really not pitching well. 28 strikeouts in 25 1/3 innings is good, but 22 walks is absolutely outrageous. Unbelievable amount of walks. Almost 1 walk per inning. That's absolutely unbackable. And in fact, we were fading him here, and he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, which is good, but his walk numbers are absolutely ridiculous. Going up against Texas here, I know they're not the best offense, but Flaherty has not been that great against them in 73 at-bats, so we have a bigger sample here. 19-9 strikeout walk ratio. 260 average isn't that bad, but a 903 OPS. They got a bunch of guys that have home runs off him. Jock Peterson, the Jock itch, 7 for 22 with 3 home runs off him. 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. But yeah, we'll fade Flaherty here. I like Gore. I like the situation better. The money doesn't agree with me, but whatever. This is what we're doing. We have 75% of the tickets on Texas and 59% of the cash on Detroit. I don't even understand that. Like, do you really think the public is backing Texas here when they have the worst record? I don't know. Now, I will point out, yes, Detroit is good at home, 10-2 at home, but Flaherty is not really one of the guys that factors into that. So, yes, we're going to fade a team with a good home record in what I think is a spot to do it. The total is low in this game, which is kind of strange, but taking the underdog in a low total game is usually not that bad of an idea. It looks like it's 7.5 or 8 in this game. I don't have I don't have an opinion on the total really in the game, but yeah, that's my opinion there on the side, and that will be a play for me. We're going with a lot of road teams today, man, and some of them are favorites. We're actually laying some road run lines today, which is ridiculous. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Dude, who does that chick look like? The AI chick in my video there, she looks a ton like some actress, and it's bugging me. I can't figure it out. Like, she looks almost exactly like, oh, I know who it is. It's, oh my God. Is it Marina Baccarin? Dude, she's one of my favorites. I hope it is her. Let me see. I think it is her. Yeah, I think that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, Marina Baccarin, yeah. Hell yeah, man. I'll take it. I'll take her. All right. We've only gone through 2 games here. This is some bullshit. 20 minutes in. Got to try to do this, man. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh is on Apple TV. Pittsburgh played yesterday. Both teams played yesterday, actually. Pittsburgh is on a 5-game losing streak. It is unbelievable. They got swept at home by the Cardinals, so I don't think are even good. Paul Skeens couldn't even get them a win yesterday. Skeens got kind of roughed up in that game, even though his strikeout stuff was there. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how that happened. You got to think Pittsburgh's going to bounce back here. They're now sitting at 500, last place in the division, staying at home, playing the top team in the division right now, the Reds, who I think are probably fraudulent. I think the Cubs are clearly the best team in this division. I don't think Cincinnati is even close, really. So Pittsburgh, I think they're going to possibly be in a bounce back spot here. I mean, that is just, you can't get swept at home by St. Louis, man, and give up double-digit runs in a couple of the games, especially with Skeens on the mound. I mean, what is going on here, man? Cincinnati did play yesterday as well. They're coming in from home, so they're starting a road trip. So I don't really know if I want to back Pittsburgh here, though, even though I think they have the better starting pitcher here. I think they are in a bounce-back spot here. Cincinnati is coming in from home. Like I said, they just beat Colorado, finished that series off yesterday. Not a bad travel spot for Cincinnati, starting the road trip, going to Pittsburgh. A lot of times that is a focus spot, like I said, when you start a road trip. Cincinnati used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Problem is Pittsburgh used more than that. They used 4. Looking at the bullpens, both bullpens have been mediocre, I would say. Cincinnati's 20th in WHIP, even though their ERA looks good in the 3s. Their bullpen is kind of untrustworthy. Pittsburgh has a worse bullpen ERA, but a better bullpen WHIP. Right now, I'm basically going to say both bullpens are mid-tier, and I don't really think one of them has a huge edge over the other. Pittsburgh is a little bit less rested. Pittsburgh has had the better offense, although they've fallen to 19th. The Reds are 21st right now, but I do think Pittsburgh has a better offense. That has been the case throughout the season so far. Brady Singer is pitching for Cincinnati. He's not been very good. 4.97 ERA, 1.62 WHIP. And for whatever reason, he's more comfortable at home in Cincinnati, even though they're a hitter-friendly ballpark. His ERA is 3 runs higher on the road this year so far, 6.59. So he's definitely a guy you want to look to fade on the road. His WHIP is way too high. He's given up 40 hits in 29 innings, which is a real problem. He's been really hittable. 19-7 strikeout walk ratio, and that's not a lot of walks, really, but it's not a lot of strikeouts. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of love to love about Singer here, but he's not really allowing that many runs, really. He got roughed up in one outing at Miami, and other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, so that's not horrible. And, in fact, Cincinnati's actually won 5 of his 6 starts on the season, so he looks like he does get some run support as well. Facing Pittsburgh, his numbers are actually pretty good here. 77 at-bats, 234 average allowed, 660 OPS, 14-10 strikeout walk ratio is not good, though. Too many walks. So Singer is kind of hard to figure out, man. There are some negatives, there are some positives here. Mitch Keller, pitching for Pittsburgh, he's obviously got the better numbers on the season. He's definitely the more trustworthy pitcher. 3.18 ERA, 1.15 whip. His home road splits are not really that significant, although he is actually a little bit worse at home this season. He's been pretty good overall. Not a strikeout guy, 25 strikeouts in 34 innings. 11 walks is a bit too high, but 28 hits allowed, that's low. He's allowed more than 3 earned runs only once. He's definitely been the steadier pitcher, though. So I prefer Keller over Singer in this matchup. Keller going up against Cincinnati. What are his numbers here? I looked at all this earlier. His numbers are pretty good. 118 at bats, a big sample. 30 strikeouts, 13 walks. Not the greatest ratio, but not awful. 220 batting average, 679 OPS. Those numbers are fine. They're actually on the better side. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to lean Pittsburgh slightly here. I think they have the better starting pitcher. I think the spot is a positive for both teams, really. And then bullpens, I just don't think there's a huge gap. So I like Pittsburgh, even though I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently and it hasn't happened. The money is backing Cincinnati. Oh, yeah, what else is new? 56% of tickets on Pittsburgh, 81% of the cash on Cincinnati. Do with that information what you want, but those are my thoughts on that game. You know, I guess there are, based on the matchup numbers alone, I guess there are some arguments to be made for the under in that, but the money looks like it's really actually signaling on the over in the game, with the total going up to 8.5, a slight tick up on the total there at most books. Again, do with that information what you want. Also, when you're looking at these books, by the way, you got to kind of like figure out like which books are like the sharper books versus the non-sharp ones. And that's why I like pregame, because they actually give you they're easier to read because they give you the sharper books. They include the sharper books to like a big degree, which is like the offshore books and stuff like that. Whereas this screen here, these are not really the sharper books. These are all, you know, the public books, the online books. And then I think the sharper ones, a couple of the Vegas ones I think are probably a little bit sharper. I think probably the Circa, I think is probably the sharpest one that's out there right now, that's on this list here. I mean, I should say maybe the Superbook. Although I don't know, because the South Point, all three of those Vegas books actually have a higher number on like Cleveland, for example, in the NBA than the rest of these books do, except for Fanatics. Or sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but yeah, whatever. Whatever. Do with the information what you want. Milwaukee at Washington. I was going to say Wisconsin. What? Yeah, we're going to have a play on this game as well. MLB TV. Let's get into it, man. And yes, I said we're laying some run lines on the road today. This is what we're doing. We're going to play Milwaukee on the run line at -1.5 at +110. They got to win by 2, I know. But at least you get all 9 at bats with them. Maybe you got to worry about their offense a little bit because Washington does have a better offense. Looking at the schedule here, Washington's returning home from a road trip, so that's the first negative. They were on the East Coast already, but still, they went to the White Sox and then the Mets. They were able to beat the Mets. I mean, that's a big divisional series, even though the Mets are not really that good. That's big, beating the Mets in a series like that, in my opinion. Now they're returning home. I believe they played yesterday, so they don't have any days off. And we know Washington's bullpen is bad. So I think it's a negative. You return home. You got to get back to home life. You got stuff to do. I don't think Washington's that good, even though I believe their hitting has been pretty good at home, though, so we do have to worry about that. But the pitching, I think, is going to be able to keep them down. Milwaukee, I know they scored a ton yesterday. I was thinking about maybe not adding this to my card because they did score 13 runs twice in the Arizona series, but that does mean their offense is hitting well right now, so that's good. I know they have some injuries, though. They're going out on the road, starting a road trip, so you know I like that. A team starting a road trip usually is going to be focused. Milwaukee, they used a lot of relief pitchers yesterday, so I am a little bit worried about that. They used 5 relievers yesterday, including their closer. Washington, though, they're a bad bullpen. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, but I'm still willing to fade this Washington bullpen because they're that bad. So that's the way that we're going to do it. Washington is the bullpen ERA actually dropped below 5, but they still have a 1.5 WHIP, 23rd in bullpen ERA. Brewers have a better bullpen, still at 3.78 ERA. So we're still going to go with this here. Hitting wise, Washington has been better, but they've fallen off a little bit. They're 12th now. The Brewers are 20th. The Brewers seem to be coming around a little bit. I do think the Brewers hitting is better than what they've shown so far this year, and I don't know if some of these guys are coming back yet from injury. Looks like they're still missing some guys here. Yeah, I mean, Churio, I think, has been out for the whole season, but they're still without Vaughn and Yelich, but that's been the case for a bit now. But the starting pitching, I think, is a huge edge for Milwaukee here. We got the Miz on the mound, man, and I know he doesn't go deep enough into games, but he's a very good pitcher. He's one of the hardest throwing pitchers in baseball, 3.31 ERA. 1.1 WHIP. His ERA is basically the same, home and away. It doesn't matter. He's given up 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. He has a ridiculous 51 strikeouts in 32 2/3 innings, man. He might have the highest strikeout rate in baseball. For a starting pitcher, that's ridiculous. Like, usually you only see a strikeout rate that high from relief pitchers. That's crazy. 13 walks isn't even that bad either, especially for a guy that usually is a bit wild. He actually hasn't been that bad with the wildness this year, and he's only allowed 23 hits. He's been good. He's been on fire. He's had 9 or more strikeouts in the majority of his outings so far, all but 2 of them. Yeah, he's pitching well, and against Washington, they've never seen him before, so that's an extra advantage. You know what I talk about when you have this young, talented pitcher, and we know who he is at this point. Yeah, there's game film on him, but it doesn't replicate what you have to do in a live game environment against a guy like this. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to have an extra advantage over Washington here because they haven't seen him before. So I like that, and he's going up against Jake Irvin, and I know we tried to fade Irvin in his last game, and we got caught. His numbers actually are not that bad. 4.85 ERA, 1.18 WHIP. Those are not bad numbers, but he's been atrocious at home so far. He has a 9 ERA at home so far. I know it's a small sample. It's only 2 starts, and yes, you have to dial it back a little bit because those numbers were against the Dodgers and against Atlanta, and we know those have been top offenses in baseball this year. So, yes, we have to dial it back a little bit, but he faced Milwaukee already, so that's another disadvantage to Irvin here is that Milwaukee just saw him on April 10th. So, whereas Washington hasn't faced Mizurowski ever, Irvin has a lot of familiarity to Milwaukee, and I think that's an advantage to Milwaukee's hitters. And he didn't do well in that start. It was at Milwaukee. He walked 5 guys in 5 innings in that game, gave up 3 earned runs, had 5 strikeouts, threw 100 pitches. It was one of his worst starts of the season, so he might not do well here, man. Milwaukee, they know how to hit him, but also, you know what I'm about to show you. His matchup numbers are not good. They have 77 at-bats against him. He has more walks than strikeouts. 12 strikeouts, 14 walks, 286 batting average allowed, 915 OPS. That's not good. A few different guys have homered off him as well. I think we could do this here. Again, Irvin has the really bad home road splits. Miz has the unfamiliarity edge. I think there's a situational edge for Milwaukee here. I like the Milwaukee's kind of turning it around on offense. The only worry is Milwaukee's bullpen is pretty unrested here. But again, Washington's bullpen is bad enough that I think we can just kind of counter that. And if the starting pitching works out in our favor, Washington might have to go to the bullpen sooner. Although I know Mizurowski, a lot of times he will only give you 5 innings because he throws too many pitches. That's a little bit of a concern. If you want to go first, you can go first 5 innings on this if you want to. I'm fine with that as well. But I'm going to go full game on it, just factoring in everything about the game, the situation, etc. So we're going to do it. We're laying a run line with Milwaukee there. All right. And I know we're going against what the public is thinking here. Now, another thing we have going on here is we had 4 teams play doubleheaders yesterday, which were Houston, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. And Philly, San Francisco had an extra inning game as well mixed in there. So I was thinking, yeah, we want to fade all 4 of those teams today. But I'm, in fact, not fading any of them. So that's just the way it works out, man. And it just so happens they're all facing teams that didn't even play yesterday, too, I'm pretty sure. So those teams are all at major, major disadvantages. The problem is Look at the first game up, though. It's Baltimore having to go to the Yankees. Baltimore, yes, they played 2 games yesterday. Yankees were off. So, okay, that looks pretty good for the Yankees. Baltimore used a lot of relief pitchers. They used 6 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. So even though Baltimore normally does have a somewhat better bullpen than the Yankees do, Baltimore at 7th, Yankees at 17th. The Yankees bullpen's not that bad, and they're fully rested, so that completely negates the bullpen edge that Baltimore has, in my opinion. Yankees have the better offense, although Baltimore's 11th in OPS right now. Yankees 5th. Problems start coming in when you start looking at what's happening in this game because the Yankees are returning home from a road trip, a long road trip, but they went to Boston, Houston, Texas. They won every series during the road trip. They only lost 2 games during the road trip, but they won every series. Now they're returning home, and I talk about that. It's a negative when a team returns home from the road. A lot of times they will not be focused. Baltimore might be a little bit extra focused because they are 1 game below 500 and they're facing the Yankees. But yes, the Yankees have a huge rest advantage. There's no doubt about that. But the schedule makers know what they're doing, man. I don't know if they really know about the return home bad situation, but what they do know is they're going to pair a team that's having to travel a lot with a team that had to play yesterday. You know what I mean? To try to make it give both teams kind of a disadvantage, you know what I mean? So that one team doesn't have as much of an edge over the other. So the schedule makers do know what they're doing in a lot of cases. So I'm going to try to find teams that didn't play yesterday and are not returning home from a road trip, you know what I mean, against a team that played twice yesterday with a pitching matchup that I like. That's kind of the ideal, but we don't have that here. We also don't even know who Baltimore's starting pitcher is going to be here, so that's also a problem. They have not listed a starting pitcher as far as I know. So that's a problem. Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees, and Yankees fans, they're a bunch of spoiled idiots because they keep complaining about Will Warren, and how can you complain about these numbers? And I've been talking about him, since he's been in the league. I've been like, he's not that bad, guys. His strikeout rate is pretty good. He does tend to struggle on the road, though. But this year he hasn't, and he's at home here, of course. 2.59 ERA, 1.15 WHIP overall. He's been basically the same home and away this year, so that's a good sign for Warren and the Yankees. And he has a really nice 37-7 strikeout walk ratio and 29 hits allowed in 31 1/3 innings. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, man, this Yankees starting pitcher rotation wasn't that good last year. It's pretty good this year with Fried, Schlittler, and Warren. I mean, that's actually a pretty good. Those guys are their top 3 in the rotation. That's actually pretty good. Even though they've had struggles elsewhere in their rotation, they're going to get Cole back at some point too. And by the way, the Yankees have only lost 1 game that Warren has started so far this year. So I think the Yankees are going to win this game, obviously. Warren, though, he's not that good against Baltimore. 39 at bats, 12-6 strikeout walk ratio, 282 average allowed, 839 OPS. But what I'm going to say about that is, yeah, the matchup doesn't look great. I'm not going to play the Yankees at a high price. We don't even know who Baltimore's going to put out there on the mound. But what I will say is that these numbers were accumulated when Warren was a little bit of a worse pitcher than he appears to be right now. So I don't know how much weight you can put into that. The Yankees are a big favorite at minus 186. The money is fading the Yankees, but I would not. Let me see. Where are we looking here? 83% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on the Yankees. But then again, remember, a lot of these numbers are coming from the more public books, and I would much rather see the sharp books having more of an effect on these numbers. You know what I mean? So these numbers, I always get thrown off by these numbers, just like when I look at Action Network. I don't think you really put that much weight into it. The Yankees are at minus 190, minus 180, somewhere in that range in a lot of these books. The more public books do have them as a higher favorite here, but I would not fade the Yankees in this spot. I would probably lean Yankees. Again, if you want to play the Yankees, though, you're going to have to deal with, I don't know, man. You'd have to deal with laying a run line on them maybe. You could go Yankees over their team total, but I worry that their offense might start slow because they had yesterday off and they're returning home from a road trip. So their offense might be cool to start the game, but they should be able to score some runs off an unrested Baltimore bullpen. I don't know. I think I'd probably still prefer a Yankee run line, though, even though you might have to lay a 1.5 or split the bet 1.5 with a money line there. Yeah, I'm just not so sure, that I see a preferred approach there to that. Houston at Boston. Houston, same thing. They played 2 games yesterday, and they used, I believe, every reliever out of their bullpen got used yesterday, and Houston has the worst bullpen in baseball as well, so the Red Sox better score some runs. No, my mistake. They had 3 guys they did not use yesterday. One of them is on paternity leave, though. Fade the baby, yeah. Houston used almost all their relief pitchers, though. They used 6, while the Red Sox were off, so Red Sox have a huge rest edge, but they're also returning home from a road trip. At least for them, they're returning from a road trip that was entirely within their division, Baltimore and Toronto, so it's not as bad of a road trip, but they're still having to come back through customs and whatever from Canada. But the Red Sox scored 1 run over the last 2 games of that Toronto series. That's bad. I don't know that the Red Sox are not going to overlook Houston because the Red Sox got swept by Houston in Houston earlier this year. So I think the Red Sox are unlikely to actually be that distracted, even though, yes, when you return home, it is a distraction spot. You got to get back to home life, whatever. That you'd still have to factor that in, even though I don't think they're going to fully overlook Houston. Houston's pitching looks like it's going to be a big-time problem here. Mike Burrows is pitching. He has not been good. 6.25 ERA, 1.67 whip. He's been really bad on the road, 7.15 road ERA. Fenway's a pitcher-friendly park. The Red Sox actually faced him once this year in that Houston series. He was actually fairly decent in that start. He went 5 earned runs, 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 5 hits, 3 walks, wasn't good, and 6 strikeouts. Overall, he's got 33 strikeouts in 31 2/3 innings. That's not bad, obviously. 12 walks is a little bit high, but he's also allowed 41 hits and 7 home runs. So his problem has been he's been way too hittable, and Houston's pitching behind him sucks, like the bullpen sucks, of course. Houston's lost all but one of his starts, and it happened to be that one against the Red Sox, because of course it was. That was the only win that Houston has with him on the mound. Against the Red Sox, now the Red Sox have seen him, and they didn't do too badly against him. They have 31 at-bats off him, actually. They didn't hit him for power, though. 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, 290 average is pretty good for the Red Sox offense, but 676 OPS, that's not that high. Again, they only have 1 extra base hit, which is a double from Connor Wong, believe it or not, even though he is not one of the better Red Sox hitters, but maybe he should be in the lineup for this specific matchup. The Red Sox, the problem here is they're returning home from a road trip, and we have no idea who the Red Sox have starting because the Red Sox don't have Garrett Crochet, and they don't have Sonny Gray right now, and I believe it was going to be Crochet's turn in the rotation, but he's fucking hurt, so that's awesome. So the Red Sox, this starter for the Red Sox is either going to be Eduardo Rivera or Bennett. I forget what Bennett, I want to say Jake Bennett, I don't know, whatever his name is, something Bennett. So the Red Sox are calling 2 guys up from the minors here. 2 of their pitching prospects that are kind of waiting in the wings here. Red Sox have a lot of young pitching, man. They're going to be one of the youngest rotations. Imagine if they have Early, Tolle, and whoever they bring up for this. They got to get rid of Bayo, too, dude. Just these guys that they're bringing up can't possibly be as bad as Bayo. So, let's just bring them all up. Let's go with the rotation of Suarez and then all the young guys. That would be my preference right now until Crochet and Gray come back. Let's just do it that way. But anyway, both of those pitchers have very similar arsenals. Bennett and Rivera, I think I said his name is. They both have not a deep pitch mix though. They both throw mid-90s fastballs, and they both have a slider and a changeup that they mix in to try to keep batters, off kilter and whatever. But they're both decent pitchers. They both have pretty good numbers in the minors. So whichever one gets called up might actually be able to win this game and actually pitch better than Burrows, at least in this game. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a non-starter to play the Red Sox here, assuming that it will be one of those 2 guys. Bennett is trying to work his way back from having Tommy John surgery, though, and I think he is a little bit older than Rivera, if I remember correctly. But this game is very, very hard to predict. Now, the Red Sox, the record is so bad that the public probably wants nothing to do with them at this point. The money is indicating on the Red Sox, despite having undecided on the mound here. Although I told you, I think it's going to be either Rivera or Bennett. 58% of the tickets are on Houston, 66% of the cash on the Red Sox. Money looks like it is backing the Red Sox. Now, like I said, the Red Sox do have the way better bullpen. Red Sox have the fourth best bullpen whip, so that's been the only good thing about this team this year is the bullpen has been pretty good. Houston's bullpen has been horrible. Absolutely horrible. By far the worst bullpen in baseball in both ERA and whip. So the Red Sox have a huge bullpen advantage here. Houston has the offensive edge. They're top 3 in OPS right now. Red Sox are bottom 3. So, yeah. But the pitching can counter that. I think I will lean to the Red Sox here. I know it's a return home spot, but Houston, I mean, their bullpen is just totally unbackable. And the fact that they used a bunch of it yesterday, had to play 2 games yesterday. You know what? The best way to play this game is probably Red Sox over their team total, because that takes the Red Sox pitching completely out of the equation as far as who's going to start for them. Red Sox over their team total makes a lot of sense to me in this game. The total's fairly high. It's in the 9.5 range. That's what I would do, because this is a Red Sox offense that is better than they've looked so far. They had 2 really bad offensive performances to finish that last series. And I know returning home, having a day off could slow your offense down a bit, but this is a very, very advantageous pitching situation it's advantageous to the Red Sox to be able to hit the pitching they're going up against, is what I mean to say. Burrows, that they're familiar with at this point, and then a horrible bullpen. The Red Sox have to score runs in this game, man. So that's probably what I would do. Red Sox team total over makes sense in that game. Salma Hayek and Sofia Vergara. No, it's Marina Baccarin, I'm pretty sure is who I was thinking of. That AI woman there looks exactly like her pretty much. And I like Marina over Salma and Sophia, so there you go. I think they're both overrated. Marina Baccarin underrated. Next up, Philadelphia at Miami. Philadelphia played 2 games yesterday, and they literally used everyone out of their bullpen. Now, they are starting a road trip, which normally I would say that's a focus spot, but you cannot back Philadelphia coming off of playing 2 games yesterday and having used literally everybody in their bullpen. You just can't do it. They're unbackable here. Miami does have the better bullpen, and they were rested yesterday. Miami at 9th in bullpen whip. Philadelphia 18th. Hitting-wise, the teams are kind of close. Miami's fallen off a little bit. They're, where are they at now? 14th. Philadelphia is still 27th, though. But you got to think Philadelphia, again, I keep saying their offense is better than what they've looked like so far. Now, for Miami, though, they're returning home from a road trip, because, of course, they are. They're traveling cross-country. They just beat the Dodgers 2 games in a row to win that series. I don't think you could back Miami in this game either, man. Returning home from a road trip, bad spot. You might get distracted, although they probably won't overlook Philadelphia just because it is a divisional series, but Philadelphia's really been struggling so far this season. So maybe not, but then again, it could be a letdown spot for Miami as well after beating the Dodgers twice and almost sweeping them. So, I can't back either of these teams here. Miami does have some advantages with the rest. Zach Wheeler, though, is pitching for Philadelphia. He just came back. He's got a 3.6 ERA, 1.2 whip. He's made 1 start so far. And it wasn't easy. It was against the Braves, who have been hitting well. He went 5 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks is a little bit concerning, but 3 hits allowed. I think Wheeler is pretty quickly going to be back in form, man. If I had to guess, he's a veteran pitcher. He's coming back from injury, but he knows what he's doing out there. That start was not bad at all, so I think he is going to be back in form pretty quickly. The Marlins are a step down offensively from the Braves. His numbers overall are good against them in 40 at-bats, 14-1 strikeout-walk ratio, 250 batting average allowed, 643 OPS allowed. Wheeler is not somebody I'm looking to fade in this outing. Yuri Perez is pitching from Miami, and I like Perez. I mean, he's all right. Perez, he's been really good at home this year so far, 2.5 ERA. So he's a guy you do want to back when he's pitching at home. It's a more pitcher-friendly park, I think, in Miami as well. But overall, his numbers are not great here, 4.6 ERA, 1.4 whip. But then again, better at home. 33 to 14 strikeout walk ratio. That's the concern. He's wild, dude. He walks too many guys, but he's walked 2 or fewer in all but one outing where he really struggled with his wildness against the Yankees. Other than that, he hasn't really been that bad. He's keeping his team in every game pretty much. He's given up 4 or fewer earned runs in every outing. 31 in a third innings pitched so far. The walk number is still too high, though. Strikeout rate is good, and 30 hits allowed is not that bad either. Yeah, overall, I like Perez, and I think he is somewhat backable at home. Going against Philly, though, his numbers are not that good, but it's a really small 12 at-bat sample size. 3.3 strikeout walk ratio, 333 average allowed, 1,050 OPS allowed. So I don't quite want to back Perez here. There are some arguments for an under. Not in the full game. There's no way I would play under full game. But the arguments for the under early on would be that Miami's bats might be cool because they're returning home from a road trip, going cross-country, whatever. Philadelphia might be a little bit tired after yesterday's two games. Again, I would not include the bullpens, but there are some arguments here for an under first 5 innings in this game. And both starting pitchers could potentially pitch well here. And maybe going a little bit overlooked right now because Wheeler... People might not even realize he's back. We don't see the percentages on that total yet, but it looks like it has taken some money on the under. It flipped from 8 juice to the over to 8 juice to the under, basically. So, yeah, I would probably lean first 5 inning under there. I don't want to back Philly, really. They're at minus 120 or so. It dropped a little bit on the money line on them. They have 60% of tickets, 50% of the cash on them. Again, these numbers all according to Wager Talks Odd Screen. So the money looks like it's backing Miami. And yeah, Miami, if you're going to play Miami, you definitely want to make it a full game play. Hope that Perez can keep them in the game, and then you get a bullpen edge with Miami later in the game. You know what I mean? Especially in the rest of the bullpens, like the amount of rest that they have. The other team with the unrested bullpen is San Francisco. They played 2 games yesterday. They were in Philly, and now they're in the middle of a road trip traveling to Tampa Bay now. They're not in a good spot, dude. Mid-road trip, so yeah, that's bad. Coming off a fairly big series against Philadelphia. Played 2 games yesterday, 1 game going into extras. That's bad. Tampa Bay, though, they're returning home from a road trip, but it's not as bad because the road trip was only a single series trip to Cleveland. The one bad thing, though, is that Tampa Bay lost a 6-game win streak by losing to Cleveland 2 days ago. And I talk about this. When a team loses a win streak, a lot of times that will hang them over and they won't play well in the next game because it's like that momentum completely got stopped. So I don't like that. And I don't love that they're returning home from the road, but it's not as bad because they're returning home from just a single series road trip. They have a rested bullpen, which San Francisco does not. San Francisco used everybody out of their bullpen yesterday pretty much. Kind of a short-staffed bullpen, it looks like here. There was 6 guys. They used them all. That's not good. Although San Francisco's bullpen generally is better significantly right now than Tampa's. San Francisco's 10th in whip, but they have one of the best bullpen ERAs. I think they are a top several bullpen in baseball. Tampa's bullpen's been bad, but they are actually getting better. Their ERA is now lower than 5. Way to go, Tampa. Again, I kept saying I don't think their bullpen is that horrendous. Like, their numbers were so bad to start the season. I was like, yeah, they're going to improve a little bit from that. They're at 21st now. And with the rest that they have, I think you could argue the bullpens are kind of close in this game, closer than you would think, because normally I would give the edge to San Francisco. Hitting-wise, you have to give the edge to Tampa. They've been hitting decently, although they've fallen off a little bit. They're in the middle of the pack at 16th. San Francisco, they just continue to struggle to hit at 29th. So Tampa does have the better offense here. Robbie Ray is pitching for San Francisco, though. He's been one of their better pitchers. 2.7 ERA, 1.14 whip. He's been a little bit worse on the road, though. Well, not even a little bit. He's got an ERA 2 runs higher on the road. It's still not horrible, though, at 4.09, but he is definitely more beatable away from home. He pitches better at home in that pitcher-friendly environment. A lot of pitchers do, especially when they're on a team that has a pitcher-friendly stadium. His overall numbers, the walk number is really the one problem here. He's got 35 strikeouts in 33 and a third innings. That's good. 24 hits allowed is good. 14 walks is the problem. He's walked 3 or more in every outing except 1 in April, but he's keeping runs off the board. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, and that was only one outing at Washington. Washington does hit pretty well at home. So Ray, overall, his numbers are pretty good. Against Tampa Bay, Ray against the Rays. Oh, my God. His numbers are... They're fine against Tampa and 53 at-bats. They only have 6 hitters who have faced him before. 13 strikeouts, 4 walks. That's not bad. 3 of them to Diaz as well, who's the only hitter in their lineup. Well, actually, it's him and Mullins both hit him pretty well. Nobody else does. He's allowed a 245 batting average to them and an 808 OPS because Diaz and Mullins have combined for 3 home runs off him. But his numbers are not that bad in this matchup. Shane McClanahan is pitching for the Rays. He's got okay numbers here, 3.91 ERA, 1.26 whip, and again, you got to take into account the fact that he's returning home from missing returning to, well, it is his home, Major League Baseball. He's returning to Major League Baseball after multiple seasons dealing with injuries, so he's had Tommy John, all this stuff. He's missed a couple of seasons, so you got to take that into account, but he was really good prior to his injuries. He's been good at home this year, 2 ERA. I think only in 1 home start, though. No, 2, actually, against the Cubs in Minnesota. So he's been a little bit better at home. His walk rate is really the problem right now. He's got 25 strikeouts in 23 innings, 16 hits allowed, but 13 walks. And he's also not going that deep into his outings yet. I think they're trying to ease him back in. So Tampa, they don't overwork their pitching staff. You know what I mean? They limit Rasmussen, even though he's probably their best pitcher. McClanahan, they're limiting him to basically 5 innings every outing. They don't want him to get overworked, especially coming back from injury. Now, it makes sense, but the problem is Tampa's bullpen has been struggling this year, although I think they're better than they look, like I said. McClanahan, though, the worst thing for him is his matchup numbers are actually bad against the Giants, believe it or not. But it's only 4 hitters who have faced him before. And, of course, Devers has the most at-bats against him because he was in the division. Devers actually is really good against him, 9 for 22 with a double, a home run, and a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Overall, in 51 at-bats, he's allowed 3 walks, 12 strikeouts, 294 batting average, allowed an 824 OPS. So, overall, the Giants hitters who have faced him have done pretty well against him. So, I think Ray may have a little bit of a matchup edge there, but I don't know, man. I think Tampa has too many other matchup edges in this game. The fact that San Francisco, they played 2 games yesterday. That is definitely a huge concern. I would not want to back San Francisco here. San Francisco is getting the money, though. 60% of tickets, 86% of the cash on them. Even though normally I like their bullpen, I don't think I like it here, man. I think I'm going to lean Tampa Bay slightly. I can't back any of these teams that I'm going to, I lean against every team that played 2 games yesterday against teams that, none of the teams that they're playing against played yesterday. You know what I mean? So there is a huge rest advantage for those teams, but it is factored into the line. Tampa is in the minus 140s range here, and maybe McClanahan doesn't totally deserve to be favored by that. You may very well be getting the better starting pitcher as an underdog here with Ray. So, there might be an argument to be had for playing San Francisco in the first 5 innings here and just go with Ray to outpitch McClanahan because that could definitely happen. So maybe you look at it that way. The total is surprisingly low at 7.5, but that's because San Francisco, they can't score and their bullpen has been decent. All right, Toronto at Minnesota. These teams actually played yesterday, so they already have started the series. And Minnesota won the game 7-1. I don't know what that was, man. Gaussman apparently did not do well for Toronto, even though he is their best pitcher. I don't know what happened in that game. Toronto's bullpen, they used 3 guys out of it yesterday. Minnesota used 3 as well. These are not great bullpens, though. Minnesota's is particularly bad. Minnesota's 27th in bullpen whip, putting more than 1.5 guys on base an inning, and their ERA is above 5. They're like a completely unbackable bullpen, and they helped us out with that Seattle play during their previous series. Toronto's bullpen's on the way up a little bit. They're 13th. Not a horrible bullpen. So Toronto does get the bullpen edge here. Hitting-wise, the Twins have actually been the better offense so far this year. They're at 16th, and the Blue Jays are 25th. But Toronto's been dealing with injuries, man. That's kind of the name of the game there. I don't know for sure that Minnesota really has the better offense. Although they did add Josh Bell this year and whatever. This pitching matchup, though, Patrick Corbin is pitching for Toronto. His numbers are pretty decent. 3.72 ERA, 1.24 whip. He's actually been really good on the road, believe it or not. 1.69 ERA on the road so far, which is very strange. He's actually been terrible at home, and he's on the road here, so he might actually pitch better because he's on the road here. Overall, 16-6 strikeout walk ratio, 18 hits allowed in 19 and a third innings. He does not have bad numbers, and Toronto's won 3 of his 4 outings, although he does not have a win himself in any of them. But he's actually been a serviceable pitcher, even though, you know me, I don't like Corbin. He's old at this point. He's been bad for years, really. He had a little bit of a resurgence with Texas last year, but I thought it was kind of just the Texas pitching phenomenon there, where their pitchers just all seem to pitch better with that pitching staff and in Texas's pitcher-friendly park. So I don't really love Corbin. I don't trust him. His numbers against Minnesota are not good in 74 at-bats, 18-10 strikeout walk ratio, 284 batting average allowed, 991 OPS. Those are some pretty bad numbers. Josh Bell, by the way, does have 3 home runs off him, even though he's only 4 for 18. Corbin, I think he is fadeable here, even though he has been better on the road. Simeon Woods Richardson is pitching for Minnesota. He has not been very good at all this year. 6.3 ERA, 1.7 whip. He's been pretty bad at home and on the road, although he is a little bit better at home, 5.4 ERA, but that's still not good. Overall, 15-13 strikeout walk ratio is pretty bad, although he's not a strikeout guy. He's gone 30 innings, so the walk number is not really that bad. It's just it's not good, but he's given up 38 hits. He's been too hittable, and the strikeout rate is just too low. He just doesn't fool guys. And his walk rate has actually gone up recently. He's allowed three walks apiece in his last 3 outings, so that's not good. And Minnesota's lost all but one of his starts, which hilariously was, of course, against the Mets, where he actually was able to give his team a win in that game, even though he didn't even get the win in it. Toronto does knock him around. He has really bad numbers against Toronto in 56 at-bats, 7-4 strikeout walk ratio, 393 batting average allowed, 1,237 OPS. This game almost is on my card, man. I like the over. You knew where that was going. I would play this game over. That's the way I would do it. We don't see the percentages on it yet. The total still basically sitting at 8.5. It hasn't really moved. If you can find the 8.5 at like minus 115 and you don't even have to go over 9, that's what I would do. I think over 9 is probably okay as well there. Here comes the money. 60%, right on cue. 60% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over. So there you go. Market Read actually seems to agree with me on the total there. But then again, public does like to play overs and whatever, but that game looks like an over to me. The home road splits don't quite favor it. Like Corbin's are pretty extreme so far, but it is a small sample size. So those are my thoughts there. Dodgers at St. Louis. This is going to be one of my plays. We might have a bad day here, dude. I don't know, because we're going with 2 run line plays on these favorites. I'm hoping we can get it done here, man. We are going to play the Dodgers here, minus 1.5 at about minus 105 here. At least you get all their at-bats here. We know they have a great offense. I don't buy St. Louis at all, dude. St. Louis, 18-13, but they're below 500 at home, by the way, so they haven't even been that good at home. Dodgers are pretty good on the road at 8-5, so there you go. By the way, I didn't even look. Who's the other team? I'm laying the run line with Milwaukee on the road here. Yeah, Milwaukee is 6-6 on the road. By the way, Washington is terrible at home, 3-10. Washington, by the way, I think they score a lot at home, but they give up a ton of runs. I think Washington actually has the worst home pitching out of any team in baseball. So I forgot to mention that. So we're fading that aspect of Washington as well. They get knocked around at home. Anyway, St. Louis is not good. They're not good at home. I think they're absolutely fake. They're coming back from Pittsburgh here. They just swept Pittsburgh. They just beat Paul Skeens yesterday, man. I mean, you got to think they're flying a bit high here. And yeah, they should show up for a game against the Dodgers, but you're coming off a divisional sweep. You pulled off multiple upsets. I think they pulled off an upset in every game in that series. I think they were an underdog in every game. St. Louis is not as good as their record looks. The Dodgers are definitely the best team in baseball. St. Louis is returning home. I know it's not that big of a deal returning home from a single series trip to Pittsburgh, but still, LA is going to show up focused here, man. They're starting a road trip. They had yesterday off, so they have a rest advantage here, and they lost 2 games in a row to Miami, dude. So you're getting an LA team that lost as a big favorite twice against the St. Louis team that won as a favorite multiple times in a row. That's a spot that I do like to look for the favorite to bounce back. That's what we're doing here, but I also like the matchup statistics here. But yes, the Dodgers have the rest. They're starting a road trip, which usually you are going to be focused to start the road trip. St. Louis, I think, used a decent amount of their relief pitching yesterday. Yeah, they used a lot of guys. So you have a rested Dodger bullpen, and you have a St. Louis bullpen that sucks anyway, and they used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. So good luck to their bullpen here. I think the Dodgers could definitely get us enough runs here. Looking at the bullpens, St. Louis, they're 24th in bullpen whip. Almost 1.5 guys on base an inning. Terrible. Their ERA is over 5. They're a terrible bullpen. The Dodgers are actually 3rd in bullpen whip. And while I don't think the Dodgers bullpen is that good, they're the better bullpen here. Their ERA is in the 3s, and they're rested. So, yes, Dodgers bullpen does have the edge here. We know the Dodgers are the best offense in baseball, and while St. Louis is 8th right now, I don't really even know if I quite buy that, but the Dodgers offense is great, even though they have some injuries going on. It hasn't even really done that much to hurt them, although I know they didn't play that well in their last couple of games. But Mookie Betts is really the big injury on their offense, but they have such a deep team, dude. Like, I don't think that matters that much. Like, their hitting is still really good without him, so whatever. And they're coming off a couple of bad games where they didn't score a lot. And we're going to back Emmett Sheehan here, and I think he is pretty backable. I like Emmett Sheehan. People might not want to play him because his numbers don't really look that good, although he is on the Dodgers, so the Dodgers still probably will be public here. 4.78 ERA, 1.25 whip. That whip is not that bad. Like, it indicates his ERA should be a little bit better than that. I know he's been a little bit worse on the road, but his home road splits are not really that bad. But if you dig into his numbers a bit, he's not bad. 28-9 strikeout walk ratio, fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning. So, like, his numbers are not even bad. And since his first 2 starts against Arizona and Washington, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all the outings since then. His last 3, even though he got no run support really in the last 2 outings. But he's been good. He had 10 strikeouts in his last outing with 1 walk against a very potent Cubs lineup. So that does indicate that Sheehan, he's got good stuff right now. The one concern is he threw 100 pitches, and the first time a guy does that, he might have a step back, but he threw almost 100 pitches against Washington. He pitched better in the next game against Texas, and I know Texas's offense isn't that good, but still, that makes me less concerned about the fact that he threw 100 pitches. Yeah, it was a good game from him, but they also lost that game, so I don't know if there's really going to be a letdown there. I think Sheehan is good, man. I've been looking at his, like, underlying numbers for a while now, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of like what I see. So I don't think he's bad. Plus Miami, wait, no, we're not facing Miami. Who are we facing? St. Louis, sorry. St. Louis does not hit him well. 15 at bats, so they're not that familiar with him. They have 1 extra base hit off him, Urias double. Oh, no, 2, sorry. Gorman has a home run off him. Nolan Gorman, not Mike Gorman, the Celtics commentator. I don't even want to talk about the Celtics. 5 strikeouts, no walks. Against St. Louis for Sheehan. 133 batting average, allowed 533 OPS. Those are pretty good stats, dude. I think we could definitely back Sheehan over Matthew Liberatore, who his numbers are significantly worse, dude, even though his ERA looks very similar, 4.75. I don't think he's a good pitcher. 1.55 whip. That's not good, and he is pretty bad at home. His ERA is 1 run higher at home this year so far, 5.12, so he is fadeable at home. He's in bad form right now. He's allowed 4 or more earned runs in 3 of his last 4 outings. He just got knocked around bad at home against Seattle. Luckily, because we faded him, we won with Seattle in that game. And that was the game where Wu actually did horrible in that game. But I think Wu is going to bounce back. Hint, hint, because I have one more play here. Liberatore, I don't see it. I don't think he's good. 19-11 strikeout walk ratio. That's bad in 30 and a third innings. Also 36 hits allowed, putting way too many guys on base. Plus, he's allowed 8 home runs. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, man. I don't think he's good. The fact that he got shelled like that in Seattle, in St. Louis against Seattle, probably a bad sign because St. Louis is a pretty pitcher-friendly park. Although you could say the same thing about Wu, but Wu is a very proven pitcher, so we know Wu is good. We don't know if Liberatore is good, and I'm going to lean towards him not being good, and he's got to go up against a very powerful Dodger lineup here. 39 career at-bats against them, 4-3 strikeout walk ratio. These numbers are not horrible. 282 batting average allowed, and 718 OPS. So, he doesn't get completely obliterated by the Dodgers, but that's still not great. So let's do it. Let's play the Dodgers. It's a combination of the situation and the pitching. The money looks like it's still disagreeing with me on some of these games. It's agreeing with me on the Dodgers now, though. 60% of tickets, 63% of the cash on them. They're in the minus 180 or so range here. But run line is the way I'm doing it just to get the price down. Let's get it done, man. So hopefully we can get these plays here. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right. I got to take a break at some point here. Maybe usually I do it with 5 games left on the board. All right, fuck it. Let's do it. I have one of my plays. My last play of the day is in the last game on Apple TV. You probably know what it is already based on knowing me, knowing what I think about these pitchers and what I just said. You could probably guess what my final play is. But I'll be right back. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about these playoff games. All right. Next game up is, I'm going to zoom back in on this. What's the next game? Atlanta and Colorado. Get the headphones back on because I'm going to have an outro as well here. All right. Atlanta at Colorado. I mean, on the surface, it looks like it's a mismatch because Atlanta is the better team, but I don't know about this pitching matchup. Atlanta did lose to Detroit yesterday, I believe, yesterday afternoon, so they are starting a road trip here. Sometimes that's good to just get out of home, start a road trip. A lot of times you are focused to start the road trip, but Atlanta already has huge padding in their division. Like they could be a little bit in cruise control mode here, Colorado is returning home from a road trip, so that's not good for Colorado, though. And I believe they played yesterday as well against Cincinnati. Both teams played yesterday, but Colorado returning home from a road trip, I don't like that. When a team returns home from a road trip, even though they just lost to Cincinnati, Colorado's not that great of a team either. So bad teams in a bad spot like that, returning home from a road trip, tend to even fall into that distraction spot more, where teams get distracted. They have to get back to family life, home life, whatever. That doesn't look good to me for Colorado. Colorado's bullpen used 2 guys yesterday. That's not bad. Their bullpen's actually been okay this year. Atlanta's has been good, and they only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. For Atlanta, they're number 1 in bullpen whip. They've been one of the best bullpens in baseball so far, so they are the better bullpen here. Colorado's been okay at 14th. I'm not quite sure that Colorado is really that good in the bullpen. Braves definitely do have the better bullpen, but Colorado's is not a bullpen that's like just a complete disaster, so at least there is that. Atlanta's been second in offense, and Colorado is actually 10th. So these teams have been able to hit, and, maybe they will here. We have a high total here. This is a Coors Field game. Grant Holmes is on the mound for Atlanta. He's been okay this season, 3.62 ERA, 1.21 whip. Believe it or not, he's actually been way better on the road this year, 2.08 road ERA, but he's pitching in Coors Field here, man, and I looked, and he did not pitch in Coors Field last year, so I don't know if he's ever pitched in Coors Field, so he might still not pitch well here, and last year he was not good on the road. Last year, Grant Holmes was much better at home last year, so we're looking at a small sample size here, man, so I'm not totally sold on Holmes pitching on the road here. His numbers have been pretty good this year, though. Atlanta's won the majority of his starts, 4 out of the 6 of them. He's allowed three or fewer earned runs in every outing, although some of these outings have been pretty short. Some of them better than others. His walk number is kind of concerning, though. Also, his strikeout rate's not that high. 25 strikeouts. I thought he was more of a strikeout guy. Not really, though. 25 strikeouts in 32 and a third innings. That's not great. 14 walks. That's not great. His saving grace is he's not very hittable. 25 hits allowed. That's pretty good. Against Colorado, he does have really good numbers, but it was mostly, I think, one start last year in Atlanta where he dominated them. They're 1 for 19 off him. That one hit is a home run against by Brenton Doyle. He has 14 strikeouts in 19 at-bats against him. That is unbelievable. And 2 walks. That strikeout rate, I told you, he's kind of known as a strikeout pitcher. That ratio is insane. So overall, he's held Colorado to an .053 batting average, 353 OPS, but he's not going to do that well in this game in Coors Field. I don't think so. But I can't fade a guy that has matchup numbers like this either. You know what I mean? So I don't know what Holmes we're going to get here, but I'm guessing he's going to probably do okay in this game based on all that. Even though he hasn't pitched in this stadium before. Jose Quintana, I mean, he looks like he's on the verge of retirement, pitching for the Rockies here. It's been rocky. I mean, I know he's a veteran. He knows how to locate his pitches, but 4.91 ERA, 1.53 whip, that's not good. He hasn't really been locating this year, really. 9 strikeouts, 11 walks, that's really bad. Although only 17 hits allowed in 18 and a third innings, but he's definitely struggling, dude. Although he's not allowing that many runs, 4 or fewer in every outing. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to get out of him here. At home, he has a 7.2 ERA. So in Coors Field, his numbers are bad, but it was one start. It was that one start where he did allow 4 earned runs. It was against the Dodgers. So maybe you have to give him a pass for that. But still, he's kind of an extreme fly ball pitcher, and that is not good when you're pitching at Coors Field. And Grant Holmes, by the way, is also kind of a fly ball pitcher. So we could see some home runs in this game, some Holmes runs. I don't like it, man. I don't think either pitcher really is that great of, like, they're not suited to pitch in Coors Field, really. Against Atlanta, Quintana has actually been okay. They have a lot of history against him. 122 at-bats, 29 to 11 strikeout walk ratio, 230 batting average, 719 OPS. Those are not bad numbers, so I can't come in and actually, I can't really recommend an over here. I know it looks like it could be a higher scoring game, maybe, but there are some positives with these pitchers here. I don't think I could do that. Atlanta probably, I don't know, man. I mean, Atlanta's just laying such a price here. Minus 190. Some books have minus 200. You can't lay a price like that with Atlanta. The over is getting the money, 73% of tickets, 88% of the cash on them. Although, again, I don't like trying to read this wager talk screen. Like I said, it throws me off, which, again, I'm fading the market read in multiple of these games here, so whatever. The money is back in Colorado here, 66% of tickets, 88% of the cash on them. I mean, I would think that Atlanta would be a public side here. Maybe I don't really think there's much of an argument for Colorado really here. I mean, they're returning home from a road trip. Atlanta's starting a road trip. Holmes has been better than Quintana. I don't know, man. I mean, Holmes has the better matchup numbers too. I think I would have to lean Atlanta here, but it's really, really difficult to make that an actual play. I mean, if you want to go Atlanta over their team total or something like that, I guess you could do that, but you're going to be asking them to score a lot of runs, and maybe they won't. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say there actually might be more arguments for an under in this game than an over because the bullpens haven't been that bad. The starting pitching have starting pitchers have okay matchup numbers here. There might be more arguments for an under in this game than you would think. Total up to 11 there. It goes to 11. I'm not going to play that drop because it's too long, but yeah, whatever. Mets at Anaheim. Way too many games here, man. Anaheim's returning home from a road trip. They lost every game on the road trip. Anaheim's on a 6-game losing streak. They've been playing horribly. They've lost 10 of their last 11 games. They're better at home, I think, than on the road, but a lot of times, like, the public's instinct will be, oh, this team's returning home. They'll do better now that they're back at home, but that's not the way that it works, man. I know it's embarrassing to get swept by the White Sox, but teams returning home from road trips, especially crossing multiple time zones like this, I think Anaheim was off yesterday, but still, the return home spot's bad. You can get distracted. You have to get back to home life, whatever. Now, the Mets, I believe, are at a rest disadvantage because they did play yesterday, I'm pretty sure, losing to Washington, but they are starting a road trip. Problem is they're crossing the country, so, and with a day less off, like a day fewer off than what Anaheim has, they're having to fly out there with less, with less time to do it, so that's not that great. And I talk about this a lot. Yes, when a team starts a road trip, especially after a bunch of losses at home, sometimes that is a positive. You want to get the road trip off on the right foot, but I don't like East Coast teams in their first game out west because it can kind of mess with your biological clock, so I don't really love that. So a lot of factors going on in this game. Obviously, this is not going to be a play for me. The Mets used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, and of course, Anaheim did not use anybody, but Anaheim's been a horrendous bullpen. Second worst in baseball. Second worst ERA in the mid-5s. Absolutely terrible. Second worst whip as well, above 1.5. Really, really bad bullpen. The Mets have the better bullpen. Even if they used a few guys yesterday, I still think the Mets are the better bullpen. They're at 12th in bullpen whip, even though their ERA is in the 4s, which isn't great, but still a lot better than Anaheim. Anaheim has had the better offense, though. They're 7th right now, and again, a lot of it is power hitting. Mets have been the worst offense in baseball, which, again, I still think there is going to be some improvement there at some point. The starting pitching matchup is ridiculous in this game, though. This is the matchup of the young pitchers, so we have no clue who the hell they are. Christian Scott is pitching for the Mets. He has not had it. He's not been good so far. Let's put it that way. He pitched 1 1/3 innings in his first outing against Minnesota, and it resulted in a 6.75 ERA and 3.75 WHIP. He walked 5 guys in that outing and somehow escaped giving up only 1 earned run, didn't allow a hit, and had 1 strikeout. That's got to be a pitcher-gami, man. There is a Twitter account for that, for all the unique pitching lines that come out. I would assume that is one, because that is just ridiculous. That is such a bizarre pitching line. Scott might be better than that. I mean, he's one of the Mets prospects they're bringing up. He's a little bit older now, though, at 26. He did actually make 9 starts in 2024, and then I think he was battling injuries. He was okay in 2024. 4.56 ERA, 1.2 WHIP, 39-12 strikeout walk ratio, and 47 1/3 innings. So not a high strikeout rate, but he didn't walk a lot of guys. He's already walked almost half of what he walked in 9 starts in 2024. This year, he's walked almost half of those batters in 1 1/3 innings. It could have been nerves, though, a first start in 2 years. I'm going to chalk it up to nerves. I don't think he's this bad. So I think he might do okay here against Anaheim. Anaheim does have 2 hitters who have faced him before, though. Darno and Soler are both 1 for 2 off him, and Soler does have a home run off him. Darno has a walk, and they don't have a strikeout off him. So he's mostly unfamiliar to Anaheim, though, so I'm not going to put much weight into these numbers. But, yes, those 2 guys have hit him okay. But he might do decent in this game because they are unfamiliar with him. Walbert Urania is pitching for the Angels here. 4.76 ERA so far doesn't look too bad, but a 2.21 WHIP is very bad. He's putting way too many guys on base. He's been better at home, though, a 3 ERA, but I think he only has made 1 start so far. I think he was mostly working out of the bullpen. Actually, he might have made 2 starts. I'm not sure. He had 1 really good outing, but the good thing for him is that was his only home appearance. He was actually really good against San Diego. 6 innings, 2 earned runs allowed in that one. 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. But the concern is he just went to Kansas City and had 5 walks in 3 2/3 innings and allowed 6 hits on top of that and got absolutely wrecked in that game and allowed 4 earned runs. That's bad with 3 strikeouts. So we have no idea what we're going to get out of Urania here, man. It's tough to gauge who he really is right now. He's definitely been a bit shaky, and I believe he's never been faced before by, who are we talking about again here? I don't even remember. The Mets. But lucky for him, the Mets offense is stunk, so maybe the Mets offense won't be able to hit him that well. And he has the unfamiliarity because the Mets have not seen him before. So some good things that his one good start was at home. He's facing a really weak offense that's never faced him before, so maybe he'll do okay here. I don't really want to bank on it. I don't know what to do with this game. This game is a very, very difficult game to predict. It's a total mystery. It's one of the most unpredictable games on the board for me. So the money is backing Anaheim. 53% of tickets, 78% of the cash on them. Don't really see what's going on with the total here. The total is at 9. So the money seems to kind of respect Urania over Scott. I don't know. It might be more of the Anaheim offense, though, and stuff like that. But I would not back Anaheim's bullpen at all. And Anaheim's not even that good at home. 5-7, that's still not that great. The Mets 4-9 on the road is bad. But, you know, both teams below 500 with their home road splits here. So, yeah, dude, if I was going to back Anaheim, you'd have to try to do it first 5 innings and just hope that Urania is going to give you a good start here. That's what you'd have to do because there's no way you can back Anaheim's bullpen here. It's a game. It's a complete mystery to me. I want nothing to do with it. Cubs at San Diego. San Diego is staying at home, and I believe they were off yesterday. Or no, did they play the Cubs yesterday? Let me see. No, they were off. So the San Diego was off yesterday. I think both of these teams were. The White Sox are traveling to San Diego, and, you know, again, kind of a more eastern team having to cross multiple time zones and going out west. I don't love that, but I do actually probably prefer the White Sox here. I know they're coming off a sweep of Anaheim. I don't think they're going to be in a letdown off of that, though. Anaheim's been bad. White Sox have actually been kind of respectable this year, believe it or not. They're only 3 games below 500. They're only 1.5 game out of first place in the AL Central. I don't think they're going to win the division, though. I'll tell you that right now. They still are probably the worst team in the division, but they're starting a road trip. Starting a road trip usually is a focus spot because you want to get it off on the right foot. They're playing a San Diego team that's been pretty good this year and known as a playoff team. San Diego, yes, they have the advantage of staying at home, but they're coming off a pretty big series against the Cubs and a close game in the last game. So I don't know how they're going to fare trying to bounce back from that Cubs series. Now, bullpen-wise, both bullpens are rested. Both bullpens, well, San Diego's bullpen is good. We know they have an elite closer. They've actually dropped off in the bullpen rankings a little bit. They're at 11th, but I think they're better than that. Although, surprisingly, their ERA is above 4 right now, and their whip isn't even that good at 1.3. Most teams actually have kind of a whip that's not that good in the bullpen, but San Diego, their bullpen is pretty good, though. We know that. I think they're probably a top 5 or so bullpen. I think there are arguments to be made they're still the best. Going up against the White Sox, yes, the White Sox don't have a good bullpen. We know that. Their ERA is at least below 5, so maybe they're a little bit better than some other bullpens. Still, their whip is 1.5 above that, which is bad. So you can't trust the White Sox bullpen. San Diego has the better bullpen. The White Sox have been hitting somewhat okay at 21st. San Diego 23rd. You might be able to make the argument the White Sox have a little bit of a better offense right now than San Diego does. We're looking at a pitcher-friendly park here, but I like the situation a bit better for Chicago here. And I like Noah Schultz. He's on the mound for the White Sox here. I almost said the Cubs. Whoops. The White Sox. Schultz is a young guy, and he's only made 3 starts so far in his major league career, but it's gone pretty well. 3.52 ERA, 1.11 whip. His 1 road start, he has a 1.8 ERA on the road, and that was at the A's stadium. So the A's hit better than San Diego does, and the A's, you know that's a hitter-friendly ballpark. So the fact that he was able to do that in that stadium, he should be able to pitch well in a pitcher-friendly San Diego ballpark, you know what I mean? And he pitched pretty well in his last outing against Washington, although he did have 4 walks. The walks are a concern. He's got 18 strikeouts and 9 walks and only 8 hits allowed in 15 1/3 innings. So he's been basically unhittable, but the walks are the concern. He's been wild, dude. And again, he's a very tall lefty who does throw pretty hard, has a good pitch mix, has a really nasty sinker. He's got to get those walks under control, though. But I think he could definitely pitch well here. And, of course, he's going up against a San Diego team that's never faced him before. So I think that's an advantage to him when he's never been seen before by the opposing hitters. So I like getting him as an underdog. I like that. But I would go first 5 innings. My lean in this game is going to be White Sox first 5 innings. I'm probably on the money line, maybe a +0.5 run, depending on what the number is that you can get on that. I don't want the White Sox bullpen at all, though. German Marquez is pitching for the Padres. Not great numbers here. You'd think that he would be better now that he's away from pitching in Colorado, but his numbers have been very mediocre at best. 4.38 ERA, 1.34 whip, and he's actually been really bad in this stadium so far. 9 ERA. I don't know what's going on, man. You'd think he'd pitch better in San Diego, but that has not been the case. His 2 worst starts, his road starts were both shutouts, and then actually he's had 3 appearances at home, and they've all been bad. He's allowed 4 earned runs in each of them. One of them was against the Rockies at home. I mean, that's not good. And one of them was against San Francisco. They can't hit either. So the other one was against Arizona. I mean, that's fine. But, yeah, he's not been pitching well at home, dude. He's definitely fadeable here. Numbers against the White Sox, though, very small sample. They only have 14 at-bats against him. 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 286 batting average allowed, 905 OPS. Yeah, so, I mean, he has been hit by the White Sox, the guys that have faced him before. It's too small of a sample size to really gauge that much from it, but, yeah, I like Schultz over Marquez here, man. That's the way I would lean. Market seems to disagree. I don't really get that. 57% of tickets on the White Sox, I doubt it. There's no way the public has a lean towards the White Sox here. There's no way. 53% of the cash on San Diego. I'm not buying that. San Diego dropped from -168 into the -140s. Like I said, first 5 innings, White Sox would be my play recommendation in that game. I almost want to add that one to my card. I like that one, and I like the over in Toronto, Minnesota, and those are probably the next 2 that I'm leaving off my card right now. But yes, I like the White Sox first 5 innings in that one. And obviously, the bullpens are a big advantage to San Diego, so leaving them out. Cleveland at the A's. The A's are staying at home. I believe they played yesterday against Kansas City. Yeah, so the A's have a rest disadvantage because they played yesterday. Cleveland did not, but Cleveland is having to travel to the West Coast. So Cleveland does have a day off, but they did just end a 4-game losing streak. So sometimes I talk about ending a losing streak will kind of give you new momentum moving into the next game, but I don't like the fact that they're traveling to the West Coast. You know, that could mess with your biological clock a little bit. But the A's, they have a pretty bad bullpen, and they had to use some of it yesterday. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. So the bullpen edge has to go to Cleveland. The A's have the 22nd ranked bullpen and whip. Their ERA is actually not that bad, below 4, but still, I don't trust that bullpen. The bullpen is definitely better for the Indians here. They're actually 8th in whip, although their ERA is bad. Their ERA is actually worse than the A's. It's in the 4s, but Cleveland's got a bullpen edge here, man. I think they're the slightly better bullpen at the very least, and they're more rested here. As far as the hitting, the A's definitely have the better hitting. They're at 13th in hitting here in OPS. Cleveland is 26th. So, yes, we'll give the A's a hitting edge here. Starting pitching, I think I prefer Cleveland here, though, with Joey Cantillo on the mound. I know he's having to go pitch in a very hitter-friendly ballpark, though, and I don't know if he's pitched in this ballpark before. He's got a really nice 2.97 ERA, but his whip is not that good, 1.32, so he is putting too many guys on base. He's been pretty good both home and away, so the home-road splits are not a concern with him. He's given up 3 or fewer earned runs in every one of his outings, so he's, at the very least, he's keeping his team in these games. The walks are the biggest concern with him. He has 34 strikeouts in 30 1/3 innings. That's good. 27 hits allowed, so he's hard to hit. He throws pretty hard, I guess, and gets a lot of strikeouts, but he's got 13 walks, so the wildness, you know, it's the case with a lot of guys. The wildness is a bit of a concern. He does allow more fly balls than ground balls, so that's a little bit of a concern pitching in this A's stadium here. I guess I could see if he pitched here last year. I don't think he did, though. He was coming out of the bullpen a lot last year, though. I don't see it in here. I don't believe he did. I don't think he faced the A's at all last year. Oh, and in fact, yeah, I could have just looked at that. That's right. I looked at this earlier today. Yeah, he has an extra advantage because the A's have never faced it before. So there you go. So Cantillo has the unfamiliarity edge against the A's. So there you go. So he might actually pitch well. JT Ginn is pitching for the A's, and yes, his numbers do look good. 3.24 ERA, 1.08 whip. I'm going to dial it back on him a bit, though, because he's been really bad at home. 6.23 ERA, and again, this is a very unfriendly park to pitcher, so he's been really good away from home and been really bad at home this year. So you can definitely fade him at home. He's been basically making, like, shortened appearances. He's come out of the bullpen a little bit. And yes, the A's have actually won 6 games in a row that he's appeared in. So the A's do win when he pitches, but he's made some starts, some relief appearances. He doesn't go deep into games, and that's kind of the issue. If you already think Cleveland has a bit of a bullpen edge here, the A's bullpen is going to have to come into this game possibly somewhat earlier than Cleveland's. So that might be a concern. Ginn, 19 strikeouts in 25 innings is not a lot of strikeouts, but he's only allowed 18 hits and 9 walks. That's not terrible. But the one thing that's kind of keeping him alive here is he induces a lot of ground balls, and that is good when you're pitching in a home run conducive ballpark like this. But then again, you know, he's still allowed a couple of home runs in this ballpark, and he's pitched poorly in this ballpark anyway, so that's not a great sign. Facing Cleveland here, they're not a great offense, though. He is pretty unfamiliar to them. They're only 1 for 2 off him. Hoskins is 0 for 1, and Jose Ramirez has a double off him, and Hoskins has a strikeout, and they have no walks against him, so there's not a lot you can gauge from that. I would just throw those numbers out. It's a very small sample. You could say that both pitchers are unfamiliar to the opposing hitters, though, so although this has been an over-conducive ballpark, you might be able to go under first 5 innings here, man, because you have 2 pitchers who are unfamiliar. I do worry about Ginn's home struggles, though, so I don't really want to do it, but there might be a few more arguments to go under first 5 innings than there are to go over. Maybe full game under as well. It's at 9.5, which is a little bit low for an A's total here at home, but you know, some of it is factoring in the pitching, and then the money looks like it's backing the A's. I wouldn't want to do that. Cleveland down from 65%, or 65% of the tickets, it's 52% of the cash. I don't like that. I would lean to Cleveland in this game. You're getting them at basically just a pick-the-winner price, which maybe it looks too easy to play Cleveland at a pick-the-winner. What's their record? Both teams' records are pretty similar, though the A's actually have a little bit of a better record. Both teams are close to 500 with their home road splits here. Cleveland on the road, A's at home. So I don't know, man. But, yeah, I prefer Cantillo a little bit in that one. Ginn, not good at home, so I lean to Cleveland a little bit in that game. Plus, the bullpen, I think, is an advantage for Cleveland there, so I would lean to Cleveland. And then the last game, which is another Apple TV game, Kansas City at Seattle. I think you know where we're going with this already. This is one of my plays. We are going under the 7 here, and I know Kansas City's bullpen is bad, and I know they pitched yesterday, so that is a little bit of a concern. If you want to go first 5 innings under the 3.5, you could do that too, but I'm going to hope the starting pitching gets us a little bit deeper into this game, and we at least have one very capable bullpen with Seattle here. Seattle is returning home from a road trip. So, you know, I like to fade teams returning home from road trips, but a lot of the distractions come into play and affect the offense. So I think that might mean that Seattle might struggle to hit in this game. So I like that. Returning home from a road trip, they went to St. Louis and Minnesota. They had a very successful road trip. They won all but one game on the road trip, losing once in Minnesota. So Seattle's definitely coming around. They're a pretty good team, man. They're not what they looked like early in the season. But having a day off and on a return home, again, I think it negatively impacts the hitting because they could fall into that distraction spot more because it's a bunch of guys having that factoring into their lives and whatever. And, you know, like one pitcher can get over it more than the hitters can. So I think that's a negative for Seattle's offense. For Kansas City, they did play yesterday, so Seattle has a rested bullpen, but that will help us with our under as well, that Seattle's bullpen is rested. Kansas City didn't use a lot yesterday. They only used 2 relief pitchers, and I still think Kansas City's bullpen is on the way up. Like, they've been really bad. Their ERA's in the 5s. Their WHIP is 1.5. They're the third worst bullpen in baseball, but they have a lot of the same guys they had last year, and they were nowhere near this bad. So I don't really know that I'm totally buying it. And we have a pitcher-friendly ballpark here. So, again, if you want to go first 5, you could do that here. But I'm going to leave the bullpens in. Seattle's bullpen is pretty good. They're only at 16th in WHIP, but we know who they have in their bullpen. I think they're pretty trustworthy. Hitting-wise, neither team has been that good. Kansas City's middle of the pack, 15th. Seattle, 18th. So we're not looking at offenses that are really ripping the cover off the ball, though Seattle did actually have a good offensive road trip there, but they're not as good offensively at home because it's a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. And we're getting what I think is the best pitcher in both of the starting rotations pitching here. Cole Ragans is pitching for the Royals, and I know his numbers don't look good this year. 5 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. He's trying to come back from injury, though. I know he's been really bad on the road, 8.4 ERA, so you don't necessarily want to play him on the road, but basically his road stats are all being skewed by his first outing at Atlanta, and then he got blown up at the Yankees. I'm going to give him a pass for that. I know he was horrible in that Yankees start. He gave up 8 walks. I don't know what that was, but you look at Reagan's stats over his career, he's only 28 still. I know he's trying to come back from injury, but we know who he is, and I really like the fact that he had 11 strikeouts, no walks in his last start. He bounced back really nicely against Anaheim and had a very ace-like performance in that game. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits allowed. That's a good sign to me that Reagan's might be coming back into form here, and he had a shutout 2 starts prior to that against Detroit, although he did walk too many guys. The walks are definitely the concern this year, but I think he might be getting that under control, and it hasn't been as much of an issue throughout his career. He's gone 27 innings this year. He hasn't been very hittable, 22 hits, 33 strikeouts, so his strikeout stuff is there. 18 walks is the problem. If he gets the walks under control, he's going to be a good pitcher again, man. He's certainly capable of being Kansas City's ace again. He was a pitcher who was basically in the Cy Young discussion not long ago, and then the injury last year kind of derailed him a bit, but I think he's on his way back to being decent at the very least again. His numbers against Seattle, they're going to be good because they're going under here. 36 at-bats, 11 strikeouts, 4 walks. Not a great ratio there, but he's held him to a 194 average and 581 OPS. It's a decent-sized sample, and he's been good against Seattle. So I think he can definitely pitch well here. And I think Brian Wu is going to bounce back from his previous start. He's got a 3.86 ERA, 1.06 WHIP. Those numbers, those include his horrible start in his last outing, and his numbers are still really good. He's also better at home, 2.77 ERA at home. So most Seattle pitchers are. That last start was on the road. In fact, he's only made 2 home starts this season, and those have been 2 of his better starts against Texas and Cleveland. I know those are weak offenses, but he's combined for 15 strikeouts and 2 walks at home in 13 innings and only allowed 8 hits and 4 earned runs. So he's pitching good at home, pitching well, I should say, which is usually the case with him. That last start, I'm pretty sure, was a fluke against St. Louis. He gave up 4 home runs. I don't know what the hell that was. I think he's going to bounce back. He's a really good pitcher. There's no real indication that he's going to have that bad of a performance again. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every other outing. He's fine. 27-6 strikeout walk ratio. I know he's not that much of a strikeout guy, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys, doesn't allow a lot of hits, 31 hits allowed in 35 innings. Numbers against, who are we talking about here? I already forget. Oh, Kansas City. Yeah, his numbers are going to be good against Kansas City. This game looks like such an under game for me. I can't even click on the right thing in the drop down here, the right option. 14 at bats. So actually, Kansas City hasn't even seen him that much. They have no extra base hits against him. 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 143 batting average allowed, and 343 OPS. And while, it's a small sample, I expect Wu to pitch well here. Under is the play here. The money is not indicating on it. 91% of tickets and only, 91% of tickets and cash on the under. It's impossible to read that, but it's at 7 there. You can get the 7. If you want to go first 5 under, you could do that too. The money is hitting Kansas City, which That makes me like the under because I think Ragans is the bigger question mark here. And if the total's this low and the money is backing Ragans, that tells me that the professional bettors do think Ragans will pitch well here. 56% of tickets are on Seattle, 51% of the cash on Kansas City. So the money seems to like Kansas City at the underdog price. Seattle's like a minus 140 something favorite at most spots. So something to keep in mind there. But under is my play in that one. And that's my last play of the day. So we'll go to NHL here. We'll finish it off with all the playoffs here. We have 3 NHL games that are all on ESPN2 and or ESPN. Tampa Bay is at Montreal. Montreal leads the series 3-2. Every game in the series has been decided by 1 goal. More than half of them have gone into overtime. This has been a very close series. I still think Tampa's the better team. I know they're on the road here. Tampa's not that bad on the road. Montreal's pretty good at home, too. These teams, the home road splits are not that significant with these two teams. They're both pretty good. I think Montreal might be I think both teams are actually pretty good, both on the road and at home. But the one thing that makes me like Tampa a little bit more here is, well, the urgency. They're facing elimination here. But you look at what happened in the last game. This game, it was a close game, so it wasn't like Tampa Bay was throwing up a lot of desperation shots. Tampa Bay had almost double Montreal's shots, 40-24. So Montreal, the fact they scored 3 goals on that few shots, and Tampa, I don't know how Montreal's goaltending stopped Tampa from scoring more in that one, because when a team has that many more shots, that means they had way more scoring opportunities. So that makes me think that this is a little bit of a misleading result. However, Montreal won 2/3 of the face-offs, which is a lot, and they were the much more physical team in hits, so that worries me about Tampa here, that Montreal was the more physical team, and I do like the physicality, but Montreal's still a very young team. They haven't been in a spot like this before. Tampa has. Tampa is a very experienced team. I think when it comes down to it, I would prefer Vasilevsky in net to, who's Montreal even been using in net? I don't even know, to be honest. Because they were switching between their goalies this year. It's been Dobes. That's what I thought. Montembeault just didn't really make the cut for them. I'm going to lean to Tampa in this game, though. The money seems to disagree with me here. Where is it at? We have 58% of tickets, 94% of the cash coming on Montreal. The line dropped a little bit. Tampa's in like a basically pick the winner range here at minus 115. But to me, I don't really think the public is going to be coming in on Tampa here based on what they've seen in the series. I think they're probably afraid to do it. I like Tampa to extend the series and send it back. And I know I picked them to win the whole thing in my bracket, but I like it. And yeah, we started getting shit wrong. We got the Wild wrong. We had Dallas beating the Wild. I think that sets Colorado up better because I think Dallas had a much better shot to beat Colorado. Colorado seems to never be able to beat Dallas, so Colorado probably breathing a sigh of relief. Although Minnesota, they're not a cakewalk. And then, we got the Denver Nuggets wrong. Denver couldn't even win last night against an injured Minnesota team. And, of course, I was correct about the under in that Nuggets-T-Wolves game because, of course, my total leans have been right on in the NBA playoffs, and none of them have been plays because I'm more of a sides guy. Anyway, Buffalo at Boston, my Boston Bruins. I'm going to rep them with my hat today. Bruins won the last game. It was a very close game. They won in overtime. We had a winner on the show on that. Our hockey playoffs have been good on the show so far. Bruins were able to get the win, extend the series. I liked that as a bounce-back spot. If you look at the game, statistically, it was very close. No team really dominated the game statistically, but I like that the Bruins are still, the Bruins are the more physical. Actually, I take that back. The Bruins were the better team. The Bruins had a few more shots, but they had way more hits, and they won 60% of the face-offs, basically. So the Bruins were better, as far as the physicality numbers in the game, whatever, and that's what they do. And they're back at home here, and I like the Bruins having more experience as well, even though their coach isn't that experienced. Buffalo has not been in a position like this in quite a while, man. Bruins only missed the playoffs once last year, and they were in the playoffs the previous 2 years. So the Bruins have an experience edge. The Bruins are also way better at home than on the road. 29-11-1 at home, and I know they lost both home games in the series so far, but the Bruins have a big home-road split, and it favors them at home in a pretty dramatic way. Buffalo is decent on the road too, though. But to me, the last game was not like an outlier. Like the final score was not misleading or anything like that. I am going to lean to the Bruins in this one. I think they're a really good team at home. The money's not agreeing with me. Buffalo, 74% of tickets, 92% of the cash. You're getting the Bruins basically as a small underdog at home. I'm going to root for them. It's not going to be a play or anything. I think if I was going to play any hockey game, it would actually be Tampa, believe it or not, but I just don't feel strongly about any of these games. And then the last game is Vegas and Utah. And I just don't know how Utah is going to respond to the way that they lost those prior two games. Both of these games went to overtime, I'm pretty sure, with Vegas winning 5-4. Vegas blew a 3-0 lead in the game prior to the last one. I gave out Vegas as a play in that game. They blew a 3-0 lead and then still won the game. Actually had to come back from down 1 late and win. And then they did the same thing. Vegas scored a goal in the final minute of the last game to send it into overtime, I'm pretty sure, and then won again in overtime. That is brutal for Utah. If you're Utah, I just don't know how you pick yourself back up off the mat after that, man. And I know Utah is good at home. Well, actually, they're not great at home, but really Vegas is actually not good on the road, is more like it. Vegas 19, 14, and 8 away from home. That's not great. Vegas, I believe, has won one of the road games in the series so far, though. Yes, correct. Yeah, Vegas, the last time they were in Utah, they won. Now, the most interesting thing about the series, though, is Vegas is the only team, I believe, in NHL history to be losing every one of the first 5 games of a series in the third period and be leading the series. So that does indicate that Utah's played better in this series than what it looks like. But this is a difficult spot, dude. I'm telling you. Like, the way that they lost those 2 games, especially the last one, I was watching it, that could really, really have you defeated, man. Even though, yeah, Utah needs to win this game. They're facing elimination. They got to win here at home. They're going to have to win this game and go back to Vegas and win again, though. I don't know, man. To me, it seems like that was kind of their shot where they could have taken control of the series and they weren't able to do it. And Vegas is the more experienced team. They have the more experienced players. Hart looks like he's doing okay in net again here. Vejmelka, might be teetering a little bit because Vejmelka has allowed those game-winning goals to Vegas and whatever. And the game tying, I mean, that was just crazy. It wasn't his fault, though. If you saw how Vegas won that game, that play, that was not Vejmelka's fault. Utah turned it over in their own zone, and that's how Vegas won the game. I think it was a shorthanded goal. I think Utah was on a power play, and Vegas won the game on a shorthanded goal, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that was Utah just turned the puck over. That was insane. Vejmelka couldn't really do anything about that. But still, I like Vegas in this one. I know I picked them in my bracket and whatever. The money's not agreeing. What else is new? 55% of tickets, 51% of the cash on Vegas. They're minus 115 right now. I don't know, man. I think they finish off the series, even though the pressure is kind of off of them now because they can go back home and win, but they don't really want to let it get to that. So those are my opinions there. Rooting for the Bruins. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm probably just going to, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do when the Bruins get eliminated because the Bruins are not going to win the cup or anything like that. Although, if the Bruins somehow win this series and then they wind up facing Montreal, the Bruins actually have a chance in that series. I don't like the Bruins' chances if they face the Lightning, though. Obviously, you saw my bracket. Let's look at the NBA. We have 3 NBA games. They're all on Amazon Prime. Detroit at Orlando. Orlando leading the series 3-2. And if this game goes 7 and Orlando has to try to win in Detroit, I don't think they're going to win that game. So Orlando really has to do it now. But it does mean the pressure is on them. Now, Orlando did lose the prior game, but they covered. The game was, it was, even though Detroit's really, really good at home, and I thought Detroit would cover, I liked the over in this game a little bit more because both teams had shot so poorly in the prior game. And it happened. It did go over. So I got that one correct. Now, these teams did shoot better in this game, but the biggest outlier was Orlando shooting 45% from 3. They were plus 21 from 3-point range and still lost the game. That's not a good sign if you're Orlando. The fact that you could have that many more threes in the game and still lose, that is a bad sign coming into this game. The one good sign for Orlando, though, is that they missed a ton of free throws. They had 53%. They were 53% from free throw range. No NBA team shoots that bad. So there is a chance that Orlando does shoot better from the free throw line here. But they got dominated in this game, dude. Detroit had a 16 rebound advantage in the game, plus 16. Detroit led the entire way. Detroit is the better team. There is a chance that Orlando does get Wagner back here. I'm not sure because Wagner missed. He went out 2 games ago, missed the prior game. He went out in the prior game, missed the last game. It looks like he's not playing tonight, though. So the Magic are still without Wagner, and he is their second best player. I know that's going to skew the line a little bit towards Detroit, but I don't like it. I'm going to lean to Detroit here. The money agrees on that. We have 61% of tickets and only 59% of the cash on Orlando. I think the biggest regression point is Orlando 3-pointers. I don't want to play the game or anything. You got to lay 3.5 or 4 with Detroit, but that's the way I would lean. I think the better team is going to wind up coming out on top, but Orlando does have more experience. They got a sense of urgency here, although both teams do, because Detroit is facing elimination here. So, but Orlando's getting points at home, so yes, there is something to be said about that. The total's low at 209.5. I don't really have a good opinion on the total in this one, though, but probably slightly lean under. When you get to games that are like this, I know the teams are a little bit unrested, which does affect the defense negatively, but Game 6, Game 7, you usually get much more defensive intensity, and offense is not wanting to screw up, so I think an under makes sense, especially because the previous game went over. Maybe there'll be a little bit of shooting regression there, so I don't love it, but I think I prefer the Detroit side here. Slight lean for me to the under as well. The money is indicating towards the over, though. 90% of tickets, 58% of cash on the under. I would not want to go over in that one, though. Looks like you can find 210.5 out there. Next game is Cleveland and Toronto. Cleveland barely escaped in the last game. That was a bizarre game, dude. Cleveland did not cover for us, even though they had a really good second half. They were winning by 9 in the fourth quarter multiple times, and they couldn't extend the lead further and cover, even though Toronto's not that good on the road, although they're going to be at home this time. But Toronto shot way too well in the first half of this game, and that screwed us big time. Toronto was leading more than half of the game, and that was because, dude, Toronto shot really well in the first part of this game, but then they really they were just horrible shooting in the second part of the game. And in fact, it was Cleveland that actually wound up shooting better than Toronto in the game. 53% from the field, 50% from 3. I think there's going to be some Cleveland regression after that, dude. I do. Toronto is at least a pretty good defensive team. They're going to be an underdog here at home. The better defense is an underdog, man. Toronto's won both games at home outright so far. So, that means I'm probably going to be leaning towards Toronto here. Toronto was actually better in that game than maybe you would think. They actually had way more field goal attempts in the game than Cleveland did, and there wasn't like a huge free throw disparity. They had 14 more field goal attempts in the game, so they had way more possessions. Toronto dominated the rebound battle. They were plus 13 in rebounds. That's pretty shocking, given that I don't think Toronto's even that good of a paint team, and Cleveland has a couple of big guys, Mobley and Allen, I believe. I don't know how Toronto did that, but that's not a great sign, dude, for Cleveland. The fact that Cleveland could shoot that well, still barely win the game. Toronto had way more field goal attempts, and Toronto was bad from the free throw line, 68%, so they'll probably do a little bit better in that department here. And, again, the fact that Toronto dominated the rebound battle, some of that does not look good for Cleveland here. I thought Cleveland was going to win the series easily, but that has not been the case, and I'm going to lean to Toronto here. Although the money is back in Cleveland, I don't agree with it. Also, I don't think there are any injuries here, and Cleveland was laying 2.5, 3 in the first road games, and now they're laying 4.5. So why are they laying more points here? I think the number doesn't make sense to me unless there are injuries, which I don't believe there are. So I think there's extra value on Toronto. Like, why are they getting a bigger price here now after playing a close game? You know what I mean? Actually, my mistake. It looks like it is Quickly, although he missed the last game too, though, Quickly for Toronto. So he is out. And he's, a big piece for them, but still, he didn't play in the last game either, although maybe they stepped it up without him, but he's not their star player. It looks like Brandon Ingram is on the injury report. He's questionable, but obviously this is the playoffs. If he can go, he's going to go, but Toronto does need him. He's one of their best scorers, so that may be factoring into the line there, but I think he's going to play. That would be my guess, unless something really crazy happens. I mean, it's the playoffs. He's one of their best players. If it's not a serious injury, he's probably going to be out there. I'm going to lean towards Toronto plus the points there, even though they have 64% of the tickets and only 51% of the cash. This is the only total in the NBA today that's above 210, really. This is at 218.5. I don't really have a good feel. The last game went way over, so, I mean, if Toronto's going to cover, it probably indicates that it's going to go under. I think if Toronto's going to cover, they need to slow the game down and play good defense. So I think Toronto covering is probably correlated to the game being lower scoring. Cleveland is the better offense, so they need to score more. So an over probably benefits Cleveland. So I'm going to lean under in that game as well. The money does agree with that. 65% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the under. Weird that the money is not agreeing with those bets that I think are actually probably correlated. And then we have the Lakers at Houston. Dude, I so want to see the Lakers be the first team to ever blow a 3-0 lead in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be so amazing if it happened. Now, Kevin Durant is out for the remainder of the season, but he's only played like one game in the series, so I don't think that's bad. And in fact, I think now that Houston knows Durant's not playing, I think that actually helps them a little bit because that question mark is just out of there. Like, we know he's not playing. Okay. Forget about it. You know what I mean? Now, the problem is Houston, they won 2 games in a row. The series shifting back to the Lakers here. This game's in Houston, isn't it? Wait, what am I saying? Houston's the home team here. Yeah, what am I saying? So Houston actually just won on the road at the Lakers. So, yeah, it could be a bounce-back spot for the Lakers because, in the playoffs, when a team loses as a home favorite like the Lakers did, a lot of times I will look for them to bounce back as the road underdog in the next game. So that would have me leaning towards the Lakers a little bit. Now, Austin Reeves is back. He came back for the Lakers. He had a bad shooting game, but he shot well from the free throw line. He went to the free throw line a lot. And I always talk about when that player comes back, that first game, a lot of times he's shaky and the team doesn't do that well, but then he does a lot better in the next game. So Reeves is probably going to do better in this game. So, I don't really do much with player props, but Reeves, an over Reeves points or something like that, especially because he was 4 for 16 in the previous game. Although his free throws did give him a lot of points, but I would probably look to go Reeves over his point total if I was going to play any of the props here. Houston, it's difficult to gauge because their offense just really, really struggles at times. Now, Houston, what they do well is they do defend better than the Lakers do. Looking at what happened in this game, the previous game. Oh, I want to look at the previous game. What am I saying? Hold on. I want to see, were there any outliers or anything in this game? You know what I mean? That's how I kind of gauge these playoffs here, these zigzag spots. And not really. I mean, both teams didn't shoot particularly well from three-point range. Free throws were pretty similar. Both field goal percentages were very similar. Same amount of field goal attempts, too. The one, I guess, outlier here is Houston actually surprisingly hit 7 more three-pointers than the Lakers did. So that is probably going to regress. 35% is kind of a normal three-point percentage, although Houston actually is not a good three-point shooting team, although they do shoot better at home, and this was on the road here. Lakers probably will shoot better than 26%. Reeves, I don't think is going to miss that many threes again. And the Lakers out-rebounded Houston by 7, so that's not a great sign for Houston, and the Lakers lost the turnover battle, so that didn't help them. But, yeah, I think the Lakers, the biggest regression point here is the three-pointers. Probably going to swing back in favor of the Lakers here. I'm going to lean Lakers. The problem is the line has been shifted a lot, dude, because Durant is out and Reeves is in. And you remember when Durant was playing for Houston and Reeves was still out, Houston was like a 10-point favorite at home, and now they're 3.5. So I just don't really think there's much line value to play the Lakers here. You know what I mean? Like, I think the line's over-adjusted to Durant. Durant being out, I don't think that's that much of a downgrade for Houston. Reeves being back is a big upgrade for the Lakers, true. But, I just don't see how the combination of those two things results in, like a 7-point swing in the line. Like, I think, probably about a 5-point swing might be a little bit more justified here. So I think Houston probably should be about a 4 or 5 point favorite here, more so. Maybe 4.5, 5. I'll still lean to the Lakers plus the points, though. They got 60% of tickets, 69% of the cash on them. Money looks like it agrees there. And then the money is coming in on the under in that game, which I don't agree with that. I know these series, once you get into game 6, like I said, whatever, a lot of those games will go under. That's another reason to like the under in all 3 games today, by the way. Another reason to like Cleveland-Toronto to go under. But in this game, I don't like it because the game was so low scoring in the previous game. Neither team even cracked 100. I would probably slightly lean over in this Houston Laker game here. Total really low at 205.5. And again, Reeves didn't shoot well. Like, I think the biggest outlier probably was the Lakers shooting very poorly in the game. So if that positively regresses more than anything else, you're probably going to get more points in that game. So those are my thoughts. That's it, man. Once again, all the plays are in baseball today, and hopefully we can get it. We have Texas on the money line, run lines on these road teams, -1.5 on the Brewers and on the Dodgers. Hopefully we can get it done with those. And under in Kansas City, Seattle. I know, I feel like we're splashing the board a little bit. I like the baseball board today more than usual, which sometimes does happen on a Friday when you have those crossovers into the next series. Sometimes it will have more sides. And I thought it would be fading the teams that played multiple games yesterday, but that's not what the case is. Anyway, Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can subscribe to me there. That helps me out. Learn to Toad on Instagram. What else do I have to promote here? Obviously, this show, like, subscribe here. You'll get notified. I'll probably come back and do a Kentucky Derby show at some point later today, so be on the lookout for that, because that is tomorrow, so I got to do it at some point today. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to it, but, I'll give you my general opinions on it. How about that? So we'll talk about that. I got to look to see when I want to do, like, an NFL season win total show, so I'll figure that out. But subscribe here. You'll get notified, hopefully. We're on audio as well. Listening over there helps me out. Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, all that good stuff. Give me good reviews over there. That helps me out as well. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. I've been slowly trickling in some new Uke covers. My index finger really hurts right now from slapping the Uke because I don't play the Uke correctly. What else? Patreon.com/LearnToToad. There's some extra Uke stuff there. I know I've been saying for that mid-tier, I want to do some Patreon streams where I jam on the Uke. For the first couple of times I do it, I probably should just not lock it down for Patreons, though. I don't know. I got to do that at some point. I just haven't really had the time to do it. I don't know. Even though, what do I really do, though? I don't do anything. Well, I don't know. I do, the sports betting takes up more time than you think, even though I used to do this plus, working a full-time job. So I don't know. What else do we have? We have Loser Cast every Tuesday night. You can check that out. Thanks to, Squee. Am I getting his name right? Squee? I don't know. He was on the show. He's putting out a lot of clips from that episode. So you can go check that out on his Twitter. I've been reposting them, so if you look at my Twitter, you'll see them. And then the G-Spot Giants podcast. I talked to Ben, so we're probably going to do a draft recap show soon, so we'll figure that out. So be on the lookout for that, too. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.